When was the last time you drove your house through a snowstorm? Not recently? Well, I can't say I recommend it. It's a risky maneuver. But what would life be without taking a few risks? We'd been avoiding winter as long as we could, but eventually we needed to venture back into the cold and snow. To be fair, we weren't really avoiding winter so much as we were trying to condense our winter into a month, get in all of our favorite snowy activities and see many of our favorite people, but leave ourselves enough time to head south to soak up some sun. She's Heather, and I'm Dana. Oh, and that's Bruce. Together, we are HD.Adventuring. About 5 months ago, we moved into our DIY expedition truck. Now, we're on the road full time, living in the places that we previously just got to visit. In years past, winter seemed to stretch from November to April in Colorado. That's a long time, especially living in a vehicle. This year, we decided we wanted to choose our dosage and jam-pack as much winter as possible into the month of January before we headed south.
Huge slide of snow.
We had an epic 2,500-mile road trip planned, but had one desire: give ourselves enough flexibility to avoid driving through snowstorms. But of course, Mother Nature would have other plans for us. We last left you in New Mexico, spending 2 stunning weeks in the land of enchantment and surviving one experience we'd rather forget. But now we had plans in northern latitudes at higher elevations, and it was time to point the truck north for some winter fun. Our first stop after Las Cruces was Durango, Colorado, which was where we lived before getting on the road full time. We keep a storage unit and a mailbox here, and it's always great to pop in and see friends. And speaking of the storage unit, so we have been traveling for the last, 3 months, almost 4 months in the truck with most of the things that we brought with us. And of course, we brought way too much stuff. So we are at the storage unit to dump a lot of it. One of the big things is the motorcycle. We were super stoked to put that on the back, and on the couple times we've used it, it's been a lot of fun, but the vast majority of the time we are not using it, and I just feel really bad leaving such a nice machine on the back of the truck to get destroyed by mud and water and salt when we're driving through places, especially in the winter. So we're going to take it off for now as we head north up to Salt Lake City and then Oregon and then Idaho, and we might pick it up back on the way down, or we might not. We'll see. We've heard from many overlanders that your build is not finished until you've taken lots of things off of and out of your rig. In this case, we chose to simplify a bit, ditching the moto, our gravel bikes, and even temporarily removing the mountain bikes to make room for our backcountry and resort skis. We'll hit Durango again on our way south to leave the skis and return the mountain bikes to their normal spot in the truck's garage. We rolled into Durango, which still had a fair bit of snow on the roads from the last storm. Up until this point, when we stayed with friends or family, we always would just sleep in the truck. We like having our own space and knowing where everything is. But this time in Durango, we stayed with our friend Shawn and his sweet dog Kota. And when Shawn offered us a room in his house, we sprang for it. Maybe it was because this week in Durango was forecast to be cold and snowy, or maybe we just wanted a change of scenery. So we packed our bags and moved in for the week. Shawn is one of the most active people we know. He is always down to get out and hike, ride, or ski, regardless of the weather. When we lived in Durango, he was the one who would push me to get out of my comfort zone on the bike, and I'm grateful for that. We wasted no time as the snow had finally come to Durango after a dry start to the winter. Even though the days were short and both Shawn and I had to work most of them, we still managed to get out for a hike or backcountry ski nearly every day. Getting our hearts pumping made the cold more bearable, and it was great to be outside in a place we knew and loved. This week, there were a number of storms that passed through town, each one bringing a sense of quiet and peace that only snow can. But the storm cycle also kept avalanche danger high enough that we needed to avoid steep terrain in the mountains. But with some creativity and local knowledge, we still had a ton of fun playing in the snow in non-avalanche terrain. Our week in Durango flew by, and before we knew it, we were saying goodbye to Shawn and Kota to take advantage of a dry day to drive to our next stop on our northern journey, Utah. As we traveled north through the Beehive State, the red rock formations eventually gave way to snowy canyons. We were headed to our friends Forrest and Jesse's house. They live near Park City, high in the mountains. Up here, they talk about snow in feet, not inches. The same storms that were hitting Durango had also pummeled Jesse and Forrest's cabin. While we had relatively clear roads most of the day, the last hour was through a bit of snow, but thankfully nothing too treacherous. However, mountains tend to see more accumulation, and at the base of the hill leading up to the cabin, there was a ton of snow on the ground.
We made it! Almost. We are at the base of the mountain that Forrest and Jesse live on, and it's about to get a little gnarly going up from here. Lots of fresh snow, and other folks are putting their chains on. We were already forewarned by them that the chains would be necessary, so we knew we were going to have to do this, but it's snowing and cold and windy out, so we're going to get bundled up and go put our chains on. And that should be fun, because we haven't practiced that in a while. This is the first time we're actually truly needing them. We've done a couple practice rounds last winter, intentionally getting stuck and playing around with them, but this is the first time in the real world situation where we're gonna use chains.
Yeah.
Bruce, are you gonna help? You gonna help?
No.
Can I have a paw?
No.
Nothing.
We bundled up and headed out in the snow.
Turns out chains for 37-inch tires are a little heavy. This was easier last time, I'm realizing, because the box wasn't on, so the wheels were just very exposed.
Yeah.
There weren't the...
Yeah. It was immediately harder than we remembered it, and we struggled for a while with the chains.
I feel like it's not supposed to be that hard.
We just couldn't seem to get the cams to close. After multiple failed attempts, our gloves were saturated with water and we were considering giving up, and simply trying to drive up the hill in 4x4. It was at this point Forrest showed up on his snowmobile, and boy, were we happy to see him. Thank you for helping us. He helped us install the chains and showed me that I was trying to install them slightly incorrectly. Now I'll remember how to install them next time.
All right, this is very exciting to see you.
All right. Oh. All right.
Well, follow you guys up.
You'll follow us?
Yeah.
You know how much this weighs, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Forrest escorted us up to the house on his snowmobile and also took our GoPro, filming us slowly chugging up the hill.
always winch it if we need to. Hey, look at that thing go.
We arrived up the hill and found a mostly level spot to park. It was a bit tight with snowbanks, but after just a few quick maneuvers, we had situated the truck in a spot where we could sleep for the next few days.
Keep going, Dana.
Jesse and Forrest and their dog Tina welcomed us to their house, nestled in a winter wonderland. We visited them a number of times and just love life at the cabin. While mountain life certainly is full of hard work, once we make it up their road, our stress levels always seem to drop precipitously and we find ourselves at ease. Our friend Aaron also arrived that evening, just before the next round of snow started. We sat by the fire and caught up, appreciating the fact that we had nowhere to be and couldn't go anywhere even if we wanted to. The snow kept falling overnight, and the next morning there was over a foot of new accumulation.
It's like over my muck boots.
Come on! Come on! We wandered around a bit, enjoying all the new snow. We also helped shovel while Forrest ran the snowblower.
Most time it doesn't work.
Since the morning chores were done, it was now time for some fun.
Alright, this works. We'll go back.
Again, the avalanche conditions made any sort of mission into steep terrain a no-go. So we toured around the neighborhood behind the snowmobile, drawing looks from the neighbors. We eventually came to a very shallow slope that would be safe to ski. We were hoping to be able to take the snowmobile up this shallow slope and get a number of runs in, so Aaron and I didn't bring climbing skins for our skis. Unfortunately, there was far too much powder for Forrest's sled to climb up the gentle slope, and we ended up burying it multiple times before giving up and deciding to hike up the slope. Remember that part where I said Aaron and I didn't bring climbing skins? Well, now that choice came back to bite us. And really, it bit everyone else in the group, who resorted to towing us up the short hill so that we could all take one lap together. This, dear viewer, is what true friendship looks like.
You!
We're going?
Go for it!
3, 2, 1, dropping.
Just like in the movie.
With our channel, we're not aiming to show off amazing skiing, riding, or driving skills, because we're not particularly talented. But there is one thing we aim to show off, and that's our ability to have fun, no matter the conditions. I hope this segment has proven that. Soon enough, it was time to move on. We were sad to leave the cabin, but we had exciting plans. We were headed to Oregon for more skiing. But first, we needed to dig the truck out and navigate it down the mountain.
I think you're ready to move forward and just cut it hard.
Copy that.
slide of snow. And folks, that's why we're not skiing the backcountry, because there's your slab. I'm gonna back up. I think you're gonna make it.
Turning radius.
We got down without a hitch, ready to head to our next destination. Our next stop was Baker City, Oregon. Each year, a group of friends gets together to celebrate the winter at a gathering we call Ski Week. It's always one of our favorite weeks of the year and something we really look forward to. Last year, we went to a yurt in Idaho, and this year we had rented a house near Anthony Lake's ski area. We jumped right in, and on our first date together we skied at the Single Lift Resort. Ticket prices here are still affordable, and there's a friendly vibe that we just loved. And if you were willing to hike a bit above the top of the chairlift, there was powder to be had. On our second day together, we traded our heavy downhill skis for light cross-country ones and collectively goofed around on some more gentle terrain. We like to dress up on occasion, and today we are celebrating a mini bachelor and bachelorette party for our friends Forrest and Jesse, who will get married this spring. While our group of friends loves to be active outdoors together, our favorite memories from these trips are rarely the actual skiing. Instead, we remember the funny outfits, goofy stunts, and the chest-burning laughter that always ensues when we get together. Our time in Oregon quickly drew to a close, and most of our friends ventured back to where they came from. But thankfully, Forrest and Jesse had a few more days to kill and could journey with Heather and I to our next stop, Idaho, where two more of our dear friends, Tanner and Lara, reside. It was great to travel as a group and know that our time with friends was not quite over yet. Tanner and Lara have lived in a small town called Stanley for the last handful of years. This is yet another one of our happy places, and we always relish the time we get to spend in this town of less than 100 people. Since Forrest and Jesse only had a couple days to hang with us, we wanted to make the most of our time together in this amazing spot. Tanner and Lara guide ski touring here, so we got out for a wonderful tour in the mountains. Thankfully, avalanche conditions here were a bit more stable, so we finally got to enjoy some real turns. We took Bruce and Tina with us on this adventure, and they were ecstatic to get to chase us up and down the slopes. After we finished skiing, Forrest and Jesse had to head back to Utah. We were amazed that they had enough energy to drive all the way back to Park City, because all we could think about was relaxing. And that is exactly what we did. One of our absolute favorite things that the West has to offer is the countless hot springs dotting the map, although many of them are not on any maps, and that's fine by us. This particular spring is a local gem, with a view of the river and the local herd of elk that inhabit the area in the winter. There's just something magical about watching the sun go down while soaking in a pool of hot water that was heated 100% by the earth. The High Point cider was icing on the cake. Heather and I tried skate skiing this year, and we were immediately hooked. While it is a bit harder to learn than classic skiing, we instantly fell in love with the higher speed and full body workout that it provided. Learning a new activity as an adult can be intimidating, but with some coaching from our friends, we quickly were competent enough to move around, even if it wasn't always graceful. Over our time in Idaho, Heather and I got to explore a number of the different spots to skate ski around town. Next chance we get to spend a few weeks in snowy places, we'll be sure to buy gear of our own and dive into this great activity. This is Tanner's 1982 Toyota Land Cruiser FJ60. If you can drive a manual transmission car, you no doubt remember the car you first learned in. I certainly do, and I would do anything to get behind the wheel of my old Subaru one more time and feel the sensation of finally mastering getting it moving without stalling. But Heather didn't have a memory like that until now. And man, am I jealous of the car she got to learn on. If you've watched a few of our videos, you may have noticed you never see Heather driving. The truth is, she has never driven our truck because it's got a manual transmission, which she never learned to drive. And now, the concept of learning the fundamentals of driving stick on a 13,000-pound truck that also happens to be our home, holding most of our worldly possessions, is not something that either of us have made the time or energy for. But Tanner offered to lend his car and help teach Heather how to drive, which she happily accepted. I get carsick and really enjoy driving, so doing all the driving myself up to this point hasn't been a big deal. But this is a big shortcoming for us as a team. If I ever get hurt or sick, or am for some reason away from the truck, Heather needs to be able to drive it. Plus, it would be great to be able to share driving duties on long days. While this learning session was just the first of many for Heather, it was good fun to get moving in such a classic off-road vehicle. Make sure to subscribe to our channel if you want to see more of Heather's progress. We had one more quick stop to make on our winter tour. This time to a place we'd never been to, Shawn, Idaho. Tanner and Lara had been spending more time here recently, and we'd heard good things about this small town. While we didn't have a ton of time to hang out, we walked around the downtown and then hit up yet another hot spring. While soaking in this hot spring all to ourselves, we reflected on our condensed winter. We had packed a lot into just a few weeks. The truck performed flawlessly, and we were quite comfortable, down to -10 Fahrenheit. While our only official souvenirs from this journey were the Polaroids of our friends' dogs that we decorate the truck with, the most valuable thing we take from these trips are not tangible. We take away memories, stories, and experiences. We'll recall getting towed by a snowmobile or learning to drive a manual car for far longer than we'd be able to hold onto a t-shirt or a mug. Spending good, quality time with the people you care about is a gift. It's so easy to let the hustle and bustle of life get in the way and let plans for a trip slip to another year. But we've chosen this lifestyle to allow us to spend more time in the places we love and, more importantly, with the people we love. It's in moments like these that we realize the trade-offs we've made to live this lifestyle are worth it. We may not have every new piece of gear at our fingertips, but we do have the time to use it, and that's okay by us. Now that we've gotten our dose of winter, what's next? For now, all I'll share is that we headed south. Way south. But you'll have to subscribe to find out. Until then, happy camping.